What's up guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Morgan. I make videos talking about my career change to UX design, how you can change your career to UX design as well, and the pain of existence. So if that kind of content interests you, make sure to hit subscribe. So I'm trying to just sit down and film videos. I feel like I keep waiting for the perfect time to film, but I felt like garbage since spring has hit. And I'm like, oh, I'll wait till there's better lighting, or I'll wait till I feel better or whatever. And I just need to sit down and make these videos because I'll never post anything otherwise. So I feel like garbage today. Sorry if I'm low energy, but I won't post anything if I wait until I feel good. So chugging coffee at 3 p.m. for you guys. So I thought that it would be helpful to make a 2023 roadmap to become a UX designer. This is not a roadmap to learn UX design. I can make a video about that. If you find that helpful, let me know in the comments, but I just want to make that clear that this is to talk about how to actually transition careers, not so much about learning UX design itself. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna start with how you actually get started. And I've said this before, and a lot of people don't wanna do this, but it's actually a really important step, is that you need to understand your why. You need to understand why you're switching careers to UX design, why UX design specifically, because there's so many different design career paths or UX career paths or product career paths. You've gotta make sure you're going down the right one. So take the time to set up meetings with UXers, or message them on LinkedIn. I get people messaging me on LinkedIn all the time. I usually don't have time to have a call with people, but I will respond to their questions through chat. Obviously watch YouTube videos like Days in the Life. I have some videos talking about what it's actually like being a UX designer. Do what you can to understand what you actually want out of a UX design career, because it would suck to be halfway through your journey and realize that you went down the wrong path. So do not skip this step. Before you start learning, you also need to sit down with yourself or your family or your significant other, whatever, and understand what your boundaries are and what you are willing to or not willing to do in order to get a UX design job. And what I mean by this is you need to understand, are you willing to take a pay cut? Maybe you're really established in your career and you're technically going to be starting something new, and at least for the time being, there's a possibility you might need to take a pay cut. A lot of people switch careers to UX for a pay increase, which it has a lot of potential to do, but you need to understand that for yourself in your own personal situation. Something else is, a lot of junior positions are in person now. Are you willing to go into the office, at least until a remote role comes along? Are you willing to relocate? These are things that you really need to decide for yourself and the people around you. You also need to really draw the boundaries and understand what your financial situation is. I've seen people quit their full-time jobs when they were not financially prepared to, and try to switch careers, and it took longer than they expected, and that's when the panic sets in. So those are all things that you really, really, really need to sit down, dissect, and understand. So once you're positive that UX design is the right career path for you, you can start determining how you want to learn. The most common ways are self-learning, boot camps, and higher education. What's right for you depends on your personal learning style and your personal situation. Self-learning is obviously ideal because generally it's free and you can do it on your own time. So if you want to keep your full-time job, you can learn UX by yourself on the side. That's great, but I personally don't have the discipline to do that. I get analysis paralysis really easily, and I don't have the ability to really stick to a syllabus and move forward. I feel like I need to learn every little thing about a topic. So that's why I chose to do a boot camp. Boot camps are super common nowadays. Like I said, that's how I transition careers. The upside is that it's generally cheaper than higher education, and it takes a lot less time because it's focused on a single topic, in this case UX design. But then the problem is that you get the field and market just flooded with identical applicants because you're all doing the same projects and learning the same things, so you'll have the same answers to the same questions. If you do decide to go down the bootcamp path, I do have a $1,000 discount for Springboard if you use the link in my description and code MorganUX. So if that interests you, make sure to check them out. Higher education is something that I really only recommend to current students or people who are about to become students. It's really expensive. It's like if you're already in the career field, you have some years under your belt, I would probably just go self-learning or bootcamp. Through whatever learning process you choose, you should learn about the following things. Discovery, so you need to understand what is the problem or opportunity. UX research, analysis, information architecture, how to use design tools to start designing low and mid-fidelity designs, usability testing, refinement, high-fidelity designs, and developer handoff. This is a general outline. There are other things that you should be learning about if you're going to do something like a boot camp or higher education. That's just generally the basics of what you should be learning to become a UX designer. And the learning does not stop just because you graduate a boot camp or you finish one project. You should be continuously working on projects, not just to enhance your skills and learn, but to set yourself apart. So I really recommend that people reach out to local businesses. Maybe your friend owns a business or they're an independent contractor and they need a website. Someone you know has a great app idea and so you design for them. You've got to know someone, and if that's not the case, you don't have anybody who has any ideas or any businesses or anything like that, you can always do solo projects. This is something that I did. You can go on uxchallenge.co and they will have problems that need solving. You can ask ChatGPT. You can also go on itsthisforthat.com, which is, it'll say something like, it's an Airbnb but for weddings or something like that. And just to come up with ideas, if you don't see a problem like in front of you in real life, that's what I really like doing is I find problems. It's usually like financial problems. And I work on a project to solve whatever problem there is. So really look around you. And if you're trying to solve a problem that occurs in your real life, that makes for a much more passionate and well thought out project. But the key here is to work on the project as if it's actually going to be real, like as if you're actually going to hand it off to developers or you're going to develop it yourself. That's what's most important. Don't have it be a fluffy project where all of the data is perfect and you don't run into any problems. Make it real. That's really, really important. I've looked at a lot of junior UX profiles and I really recommend reading UX Strategy by Jamie Levy. It'll help you with all of the non-design parts of UX. It talks about discovery, research, analysis, all of that kind of stuff. It's a great book, easy read, highly recommend it. So the last step before you actually start applying for jobs is making sure that you have all of your materials ready. You're gonna need a resume, a portfolio with your case studies, a portfolio presentation, and I really recommend that you have a LinkedIn profile. So don't spend a ton of time working on your portfolio site. Hiring managers care about your case studies, not the actual website. They might want to learn a little bit more about you, but you can do that on your LinkedIn profile or something like that. You can put it on your Behance profile. I really recommend just not doing a portfolio site altogether when you're first starting out because it's just so easy to get lost in the details. It's something unnecessary that I wasted so much time on when I should have been applying for jobs. I probably would have found the jobs sooner if I hadn't done that. I'm really happy with where I am now, so no regrets. I would recommend to you to do like a Behance profile where it's just your case studies. You can have a little about you section and it's your profile picture and everything. It'll save you a lot of time. It'll take a lot of stress off. So I really recommend doing that unless you're unlike me and you don't overthink and you're able to just throw something together really quickly. The same thing goes for resumes. I find that designers, including myself, in the past, we really over-design our resumes and that can be a problem. People will often make resumes in Figma and make them super fancy. If you're just starting out, I really recommend just go into Word or Google Docs, make a simple resume. You can put a little color in there and make it look nice, but If you over design, not only is that a huge chunk of your time and something that you might be using as an excuse to procrastinate, which is what I did, and still kind of do, but you could actually be negatively impacting your ability to make it through ATS. I think it stands for Applicant Tracking System. It's something that recruiters and HR people use to scan resumes, and they look for like keywords and stuff. You could be messing things up because the layout is weird, because you try to be all creative with it. Maybe you added like icons and stuff like that. So just avoid over designing your resume. It's not a great use of your time. If you don't have any design experience, you can always put down that you're a freelancer if you had the ability to work with small businesses or bring a friend's app idea to life or whatever it might be, because regardless of if that business or person used your designs, you still did the work. So just describe what you did and how it impacted the business or the person. You could also do a design project section. That's what I did. And that just puts a little bit more like design experience on your resume if you don't have any official in-house experience. For your portfolio presentation, select 2 to 3 projects that you're proud of. Make a general presentation highlighting key moments and talking about the story of those projects. And then when you actually start going through the interview process and they say, hey, we want to see some of your work, make sure to ask them or the recruiter or whoever, like, what are you trying to get out of the portfolio presentation, just so I know how to tailor it. And then you make a copy of the presentation and then edit it specifically for that company and those people. So like, for example, for my interview, they wanted to see how I worked in a team and how I affected outcomes, which made me panic because I didn't ever work in a team or have a real design job. So I had to really work to tailor my story to show my skills and like what outcomes I would look for and things like that. I have a whole video on my portfolio presentation if you want to watch that. And please don't forget about LinkedIn. It is really important to have a digital footprint nowadays. Recruiters live on LinkedIn. It's really a good idea to be active on LinkedIn. Have your portfolio site or Behance profile connected to your profile. Make sure to interact with other designers, recruiters, companies that you want to work with. Really take advantage of LinkedIn. Once you have some projects under your belt, you can start applying. I would take any interview that you can get, just because it's really good to get that interviewing experience, because if you're coming from a different field, questions are going to be different and it's going to be difficult. I had a lot of problems with memorizing answers. Like, they would ask me what my design process is and I would memorize it, and it's so embarrassing when you forget. Yeah, it was really bad. So it's important to get that interviewing experience. Stay calm, treat things like a conversation. Please don't memorize answers. And throughout this process, you might find that you're drawn to a certain industry. It took a few months for me to realize that I was really drawn to the fintech industry. And so I started working on a solo project solving a financial problem in my life and my friends' lives, and I worked really, really hard on that because it was an issue that I cared about. I treated it like it was going to be developed. I put money into it, and now I work for a financial services company, one of the biggest in the world. So worked out. If you find an industry that you're drawn to or a certain part of UX that you're drawn to, start to focus on that in your solo projects. Treat the job hunting process like you're a UX designer. Everything is a learning opportunity. Learn, iterate, revise, get feedback. Don't just stay idle and do the same thing over and over again. Follow up, see what you could have done differently if you don't get a job offer. Revise your resume, revise your portfolio, continue to add projects. Like, don't stop. And for the love of all that is holy, do not stop doing projects just because you started applying for jobs. Also, please don't get analysis paralysis. Don't fall down the course rabbit hole. If you're idle while you're job hunting, work on projects. Recruiters and hiring managers do not care about the certifications that you get. Work on projects. That is what they care about. It's all about applied knowledge. Ideally, as you're going through the job hunting process, you'd see an uptick in your skills or the fidelity of your projects. It's not the same thing over and over again. You're learning from your mistakes. I would honestly even like to see that in somebody's case study if they don't have any working experience, being like, well, in a previous project, say you decided to do a second version of a previous case study, like the portfolio review that I did for Mel. She had a great idea, and I would love to see a second case study of her second iteration of that project. Shout out to you, Mel. So something to think about, like really try and continuously improve your skills, not your certifications. So that is my 2023 roadmap on how to become a UX designer. I'm not gonna lie, the market's really saturated right now, and it's gonna be difficult to get a junior UX position. Not only are they pretty scarce, anybody looking for less than like 3 years of experience, but there's like no remote ones that I've seen recently. It's very rare to find a remote junior UX position. A lot of them are in major cities for bigger companies, and I'm watching a lot of people struggle to find the job. One, because of the back to office thing where people aren't willing to go in, they want remote jobs only. But the pandemic really spawned a lot of hopeful UXers. I'm not saying that you can't get a job, obviously. I believe that you can get a job. I'm just saying that it's gonna be really difficult. It took me 6 months during a much less saturated time when there were a lot of remote roles. So I don't know how I would do today if I was just getting into UX. So I'm not trying to tell you that with this roadmap, you'll get a job in 2 weeks. I am going to tell you that if you sit idle and just keep applying with the same resume, don't continuously work on your projects, you're more than likely not going to get a job. Work on projects, practice your interviewing skills, treat the process like a UX designer. Do not get caught up in the little things like designing your portfolio or your resume or taking a bunch of courses. I wish you the best of luck. You've got this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget about the $1,000 off of a Springboard bootcamp that is in the description. Use code MorganUX, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.